I welcome you all on behalf of Ahmedabad Management Association. Today we have a very interesting topic on geopolitical resilience for exports and focus on uncertainty with Turkey, Azerbaijan and Middle East. This is a very interesting topic at a very uncertain times, and when half of the world is fighting for one thing or the other, not only wars and everything, but trade wars and uncertain things going on. And what can be better time than this? And to discuss this topic, who can be a better person than Mr. Suhayl Abidi? I'll briefly introduce him. Mr. Abidi is a research advisor at Center of International Trade and editor at Foreign Trade Update. He's MBA from FMS University of Delhi with PG Diploma in Information Management from Leeds Polytechnic UK. He has authored 4 books. The one is VUCA Company, VUCA Learner, VUCA in Startups, and the 4th is just about to come. That is a book on Indian pharmaceuticals. Update. That is there are 4 books written by him. He has also worked with many reputed organizations like the Penguin, the British Council, Reliance Industries, and Piramal Healthcare. He has led projects on digital archives, intranet systems, and performance management. And now he conducts training in agility, adaptability, and continuous learning. I'll welcome Mr. Abidi. Yes, sir.
So as it is written, whatever we know about business or about, I think we are not that many that we need the mic. The mic to नहीं चाहिए होगा. क्योंकि इधर से करूँ तो रखना. I speak here because you will be recording also. Whatever we know about business is all what has happened in the past. But we have to make decisions for future. That is the thing which we will be discussing today, that how can we anticipate certain events if possible, or quickly adapt ourselves to the new situation. Let me take you to one scenario. 2016, Hanjin shipping company, which was the 6th largest in the world, it declared bankruptcy. You see, at that time, $12 billion of goods were on those ships. These were stranded, some on the midship near the port, and some in the various routes. Some could not pay the ships could not enter the ports because they could not pay the port charges. So almost 98 ships were stranded on high seas, and they were carrying, most of it was carrying Christmas goods for the US market. Those customers who could pay the port charges, they paid from their own pocket, which maybe they may recover from some insurance or not. They allowed the ship inside. But those 98 ships, it took about 3 years for the whole matter to be settled. And most of these ships ended up in the junkyard because there was no market for second-hand ships at that time. माइक तो चल रहा है, नहीं चल रहा है, चालू है. Can you hear? Maybe it's the room. Yeah. No. No, it has a
Communication 1 2.
Okay. Now only. Okay. So that is, once we take that, चलो ये ठीक है. Okay, ये इधर लगा दो. Okay, चलेगा मेरे ख्याल. Then in May 21, March 21, one of the largest ships in the world got stuck in the Suez Canal. You know, at that time you can see these ships lying, waiting in queue in the Red Sea. A similar number of ships were waiting in queue in the Mediterranean. More than 100 ships were waiting for 6 days, and it took another 6 to 8 days before the last ship got through. Once that is done, then we come to the COVID. You see, COVID, there was a lot of disruption in shipping. Even after the COVID was over in countries like India, China had a very strict zero tolerance policy for COVID, and there many of the ports were closed off and on from week to 10 days, you know, different ports. And that created the waiting ships queuing up to Singapore. From China to Singapore, some hundreds of ships were waiting in the queue. Once that is over, then we had the Houthis attacks in the Red Sea. You see, and the Red Sea was closed for many months. It has not only opened in May of this year when the attacks ended. Still many ships are not yet taking that route. So what I am trying to say that we are living in a world where crisis is normal. You see, and then what is the world we live in? We call it VUCA world, which has 4 elements. One is volatility. You see, fast movement of fast changes. When I joined my first job, we were importing books from UK. Dollar was 750 and pound was 15 rupees. When I left that job after 3 years, dollar was still 750 and pound was 15 rupees. But today only a very brave man can say what will be the rate today and what will be the rate tomorrow. You know, that is volatility. Second is uncertainty. You know, about climate change. So much uncertainty is there. How much it is, what rate it is it heating up, where it is. Trump says that it is all bogus. There is no such thing as climate change. You see. So this is uncertainty, what is going to happen. And then we have complexity. You know, business has to see whether they should invest in electric vehicle or hydrogen vehicle or some sort of a e-fuel. E-fuel is what fuel will be, the fuel which will be generated by solar energy. You know, so these are all futuristic. But a company has to do its business cycle at least 8 to 10 years in advance. Then only your results of R&D mature. You see. So then ambiguity. Should I allow the mining to go on or should I allow the forest to continue? There is no easy answer and there is no this or that. See? So you have to take a balanced view. So when you combine all this, it becomes each one of them is a scary situation. But when you combine all of this like you had in COVID, then it becomes very difficult to make any decisions. You can say that there is a paralysis of decision making in the business. You see. So what we should do as exporters, as businessmen who are investing in other countries, today many Indian companies are investing as a service Many solar companies are setting up off-site or off-grid solar systems in Africa, in Middle East, where there is no grid, there is no electricity. So you set up for a limited area and that is, you get revenue out of it, that is your business model. You see. So companies are investing in pharma plants, companies are investing in so many other types of business, mining in other countries. So question is that all these you can say decisions, they require you to have capital expenditure which will only get some returns after 5 years, 6 years or so. So that is a period you cannot afford to wait here. Things will change dramatically in 5-6 years. So what should the companies do? So most important thing is that we should stay informed. That is something which we rarely do. In fact, this study came only 2 days back, that Indian business leaders indicate low preparedness for geopolitical challenges. We don't keep track of what is happening. Everything is not sudden, it is not an earthquake. Many of the events which take place, they take time to mature. It is not everything does not happen overnight, but we only come to know when it reaches the headlines. For example, Ukraine crisis, if you see, it started for 2019 almost when Ukraine decided to join NATO. And at that time, even when Zelensky was favored candidate, because he wanted to bring Ukraine into NATO, and that created the rift between Ukraine and Russia. So Russia's point was that we are being surrounded by all these NATO countries. And even when the war started, it took several months before Russia was able to mobilize forces, and everybody knew that Russia is bringing lakhs of people and it is bringing aircraft and so many things nearer to the so it was not a surprise in the sense that, but when the war erupted, it came as a great surprise because we were not keeping track of what is happening. Similarly, if you see, the Gaza trouble was brewing for almost 1 year, but question is that what the Hamas will do, that was not known, but we knew that some sort of a confrontation is brewing between Israel, and Israel was trying to bring Hamas into some sort of a confrontation because it wanted to destroy Hamas once and for all. So it was trying to provoke. So that news was coming almost for 1 year that something is brewing, but we only came to know when actual kidnapping started, and that was big news. Otherwise, we were not following what is happening during the period. So many of these events which we see that it has occurred overnight, they have a long history, and if we keep track, we can take certain actions or create certain scenarios that if this is happening, then what I can do, if that happens, what I can do. The main thing is not to predict what is going to happen, but to create scenarios for various occurrences which are going to come about. Now, for example, this has happened at least 2 to 3 times, Nigerian oil crisis. Every time the gas price, oil prices go to below $20, Nigeria has a crisis. Not only Nigeria, other countries also, because their sole source of income is oil sale. You see, and here also if you see, that the headline was, amid oil price collapse, Nigeria is running out of foreign exchange. This is the time when all the exporters got very wild because their money is stuck there, and the bank said that we will give money but we'll take our own time, you see. But if you look at the pricing, from December 19, it kept on dropping month by month or even till it reached, so you almost had 6 months time before it dropped to a crisis level. So it was not a sudden decision. This has happened more than once. And before this also, many Indian companies lost their money in, or they were delayed payment, which is as good as, because if you get your money after 1 year, the interest alone is about maybe 12 to 18%. And you may get the money in 1 installment, 2 installment, 6 installment, we do not know. That is up to the Nigerian Reserve Bank to decide. So this is the second time this has happened, and still many of the exporters lost money here also, and before COVID also there was a time when lot of companies lost money in the Nigerian oil collapse. So this is happening because we are not keeping track of what is happening in our own markets. At least in our own markets where we are selling goods, we should keep track on a regular basis what is happening and what are the likely scenarios that can erupt out of that, you see, and what I should do. So main thing is have scan for weak signals. Strong signals everybody knows, when it becomes the headline. But before that, weak signals come from the market. So we should scan for the weak signal. Just as an example, today what is happening in West Africa is France is losing its hold on the 11 French-speaking countries. As of today, almost 6 countries have already thrown out the French military, you see. So what are the implications for trade in this market? That not only French companies, French military will lose its influence, but French companies will also lose its influence. Already Lafarge, the biggest cement company, is no longer the dominant. About 10 years back, it had number 1 share in the West African market. Today it doesn't have that share. It has been taken over by Dangote. Dangote is the local, I would say, Ambani, Nigerian. So he has built so this is what is going to happen in West Africa. That is my opinion, that this is what is going to very recently Algeria also pushed out Algeria is a former colony, and all these countries, they asked the French military to go. Along with military is only a signal. Along with that, it is also a signal for entire French culture, business, and we don't want to do. So other countries have to enter. So this is the time for Indian companies to enter West Asia in a big way. We have neglected the French West Africa, the 11 countries, for very long. We don't do business because they are French speaking. But this is a gap. This is now there is a vacuum in the market, or soon there will be. So the well-informed exporter, it is time to make your move into the West African market. So many of these world risks, they are often released by international organizations. And for example, this is one of the, BlackRock is a very major investment company, global investment company. So this is their regular geopolitical risk dashboard, which one should regularly see whenever it is released. you know. So what are the things we should watch? We live in a environment where first is our organization, on top of is our industry, and then outside, both Indian and outside. All these environment, they are sending signals to us. Which are these signals? Political signals, which I just narrated in case of West Asia, West Africa. They are sending political signals. Then they are sending social signals, changes in culture. Colonial culture is going. They want their own language to come. They don't want to speak French now. So all this has effect on the business, you know. Then environmental, then economic, and finally technological. So these are the various signals which are coming from the business environment, and we have to see in our market what these signals are saying. We have to anticipate before it becomes a headline news. That is a smart businessman will look and study much before it becomes a headline news. So develop insights. Regularly read international business and trade media. Many of them are free, you know, and many of them partly free, you know. For example, global trade. This comes every month. It is free of cost. So they give various types of logistics and other type of information, what is happening in this world and what we should be doing, what are the various activities we should do to protect ourselves and our businesses. Then be a member of a trade forum or a group. Very important, because as an individual you have only partly knowledge. You don't have complete knowledge and you can easily make mistakes. So you should be a member of a group, because collective foresight or group intelligence is always higher than individual intelligence, you see. Because we see only part of the picture and we can make our decision based on that part picture. Like that story where blind people looking at the elephant, the person only looking at the leg, feeling the leg, he said it is a pillar, you see. And same thing happens, because we are not, even with all our resources of reading etc., we only see part of the picture. The complete picture comes when we are part of a group which is interested in the same things as we are. So I am a great believer in group intelligence, and just to give you an example, this is a Sasaram station, and these are poor children who have no electricity at home. They are studying for state examinations like police examination or Patwari ka examination and things like that, and they cannot afford a teacher. So within the group, those who are good in maths, they become the teacher for maths. Those who are good in Hindi, they become teacher for Hindi, and they teach the whole group. With the result, the entire group grows. And this is what we should be doing as exporters. We must meet regularly. If we are plastic processors, we must have a group of plastic processors. In fact, I would prefer that one should have a group which is beyond your own immediate businesses. You know, meet. AMA would be happy to sponsor such meetings, and you can come here and discuss the different people will bring different viewpoints, different insights to the table, and that will give you a more complete picture than as an individual. Because we are also members of other groups. We are not simply members of trade group, we are also members of other group. We are members of AMA. Some people meet regularly and they bring insights from various fields which they can bring into the group. So at this moment, whatever Trump does or says, our future outlook is good. You see, because whatever the duty Trump puts, we have to see whether our rivals' duty is lower or higher. It is not that our business will suffer only when we are in a competitive stage. If our duty is 21% and Vietnam duty is 27%, then we are in a better position. So overall, I don't see whatever Trump does, says or does, I don't see a great drop in the market, provided we are there to take advantage of the other markets which are opening up, which will come later. So our output is good, export outlook. You know, this is coming from DHL Trade Atlas 2025. DHL is an international organization, you know. So within up to 29, it says that India will be among the top 3 countries which will have the highest growth rate in exports. You know, our only drawback is that we are having low manufacturing compared to our GDP. That has not grown. Most countries today have between 25 to 30% trade in manufactured goods. Our is standing at 17%. So if it grows to 25%, then we will be in a very, very good position. Government is doing its bit, Make in India and so many PLI, etc. Aim is to increase the level of manufacturing in the country. But it is not so easy to manufacture, because even when we have seen the case of mobile phones, even after 5 years of those companies which started manufacturing mobile phones in India like Apple and Samsung, only 21% of the parts, they are now made in India. Of course, it is a great achievement, because earlier it was 10% when they started. So 21%. So it must grow to at least 60 to 70%, because before you can say that it is a, now you are even now today dependent on not only on China but also on China's proxies like Malaysia, like Vietnam, through which China is sending these goods. Yeah. So as a country, aim should be to increase the manufacturing, but even in present pace, the outlook is quite good. Future growth leaders, next 5 years, India, Vietnam, Indonesia and Philippines are forecast to rank among the 30 for both speed and scale. India has the one advantage of its very, very strong service industry, you see. And by next year or maybe by 26 financial year, our service exports will grow or will have a higher share than our manufactured, our goods export. This is as we are seeing today, that almost now this year almost it will be equal. Next year maybe the service export may grow higher than the manufactured good. So that also benefits India, because in service industry there are fewer competitors. Secondly, service industry has less of regulations and non-tariff barriers, which is there in the, for example, various environmental barriers are there in exporting to EU. Many barriers are there if you are exporting chemicals, food products. Their pesticides limit is now almost near organic level, almost near. So it, you may as well sell the organic product, you know. So overall, if you look at our exports, I don't see any great deal of problems, but sector wise it can happen. So what we should do, first of all, that we must diversify our export. We cannot depend on just one or two markets for. And here I would like to give example of Africa. Africa for long has been a you can say dark continent, but in 2021 they formed a common market, of all 52 countries. Now 52 out of 54 countries are members of. That will create a lot of business opportunities in the African continent, much more than what has been so far, First of all, in Africa, now with a single market, more manufacturing will take place on the African soil, because now the market is of 1.2 billion people. Already Volkswagen has started a assembly plant in Rwanda. Normally, Rwanda, the population is about 90 lakhs. It can add, how much it can sell? Maybe 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 cars a year. But it is looking at Rwanda sitting in the center of Africa. So it has set up a assembly plant in Rwanda. Similarly, in Zimbabwe, the first stainless steel plant has come up. Why in African soil? Because stainless steel will be in great demand. Food industries, pharmaceutical industries, these are the ones which will create the first industrial base in Africa. Always in any country, if you see, this is the food industry which always comes up first. So food industry, pharma industry, dairy, these are the industries which will come up, and they all need stainless steel. So Zimbabwe stainless steel will enter the market at nil duty. All other Chinese, Indian stainless steel will have to pay a duty wherever they come, whether they come from Mombasa or they come from Durban port or they come from Dar es Salaam port, they will have the same duty. The entire African continent will have single external duty and single formality. The forms, etc., they will be the same. So these type of industries are coming up, which are assembly industries, I would say. They are not really, you can say, basic industries. Air conditioning manufacturing will take place, but compressor manufacturing will not take place, because Kirloskar, as an example, has a manufacturing capacity of 2 million compressors. It will take ages before you have that kind of a market in Africa. So similarly, in pharma, the manufacturing of you can say tablets and capsules, they will take place, but not the manufacture of API, the packaging, the syrups, even pharma grade sugar is exported from India all over the world. Not very many companies or countries can manufacture pharma grade sugar, So these are the things which will be, so the type of goods that are exporting, that will change. You see, you will be selling more of irrigation pumps, more of sheets, pipes, things which will go into agriculture, more of pesticides, insecticides, and less of food items. You see, now today Africa is a food importer, net food importer, but if you see 2030, it will be a self-sufficient in its food requirements. So, but the intermediates will be required. So that is what the exporter must be ready to sell. The various intermediates which are required for three-wheeler assembly is taking place there, but kits are going from India. Two-wheeler assembly is taking place, kits are going from India. So parts will not be manufactured there, engine will not be manufactured there, tires will not be manufactured there, batteries will not be manufactured there, at least for next 10 years, till market reaches a certain manufacturing. So all these things will be imported from India, China and other countries. So exporters should keep that which are the areas where they can diversify their export. Middle East, for example, in spite of all these problems, Middle East remains a very, very positive market from Saudi, and our exports of engineering goods show that earlier we were not, our companies were only getting subcontract work. If you see 10 years back, our L&T, what were they doing? They were doing subcontract work, civil work, subcontracting to Snam Progati and other Italian, and today they are EPC contractors. They are the ones who are now the first refinery, private refinery in Africa. This was built by an Indian company. For an African owner, it was built by Engineers India Limited. You know, the first refinery in Africa, private refinery. So Indians are getting that kind of, today the you can say the contracts and the orders which were not getting earlier because our low cost and high professional manpower. You know, so this is where we have to now enter into these new markets. You see, and for example, food market. The Japan, the Korea, they import 50% of food. Much of it is frozen form. But where we stand, it's not such a big technological leap through to sell in frozen food, frozen brinjal, frozen ladyfinger. It's not such a big thing. But we are no, Ecuador sells $50 million worth of frozen vegetables into Japan. India's export is $4 billion. Although that distance is 17,000 kilometers, Chennai's distance is 6,000 kilometers. So something is lacking in market. Market is there, potential is there. We are the biggest, second biggest vegetable and fruit growers in the world. 300 million. And it is a market where there is no, unlike onion and other things, there is no restriction on exports, and there never will be. You see, but we are, so this is the, where the gap is, where the markets are and where we are. So there is a huge potential of markets in Asian. None of the countries in Southeast Asia grow potato. From Myanmar to Australia, nobody grows potatoes. India is the second biggest potato grower in the world. So something is missing. Market is there, product is here. So it is not that we are not looking at the market. Maybe something we have to look at the markets and create products which the markets accepts. You know, if you see frozen food, market does not buy, you cannot sell frozen potatoes. Potatoes have to go as a finger fry. So frozen food, always there is a processing part which is required by the, or which is asked for by the customer. You know, and then you have to take growers. It must be minimum of pesticides or insecticides as demanded by the customer. So the route starts from farm and ends at the supermarket shelf. But we are not there, you know. So I can name so many different products where there is a market, but we are not. I mean, if you look at Japan, which is the number one meal for them, food they take. Anybody? Like lunch or dinner? No, how do they eat it? Sweet potato is, it's a main meal every day. No, but it's a seasonal thing, no. What is eaten every day in Japan? So he says rice. Anything else? Rice, of course, is always there. Fish. He says fish. Okay. So the most common food in Japan is what is called which is called rice and curry. Curry is the most common food in Japan. Now curry there is not the same as Indian, although it has an Indian origin. But curry there is not. If he eats sour curry, he will die, surely. So their curry is different. It's an adapted food. But we are nowhere near there. They have Japanese curry, they have Thai curry. So many curry pastes are available in Japan. But you don't find an Indian curry paste there. Because nobody has tried to look at that market. So there are so many products in the world, markets in the world where we can sell without any problem. So we have to keep on looking at diversifying our export into markets so that we have a balanced view of, if there is a disruption somewhere, we can always sell somewhere else. Similarly, Dubai will be a very, very important, in fact, it will be a more important for Indian exports than India itself. That is my opinion in next 5 years. And that is why India is building a Bharat Mart there. What is Bharat Mart? It's a 2.7 million square meters of warehousing and display areas, exhibition areas India is building. So by 26 it will be ready, because most of the importers, they come to Dubai, they don't come to India. So India is building Bharat Mart there, 2.7 million. So next year it will be ready. So why India is building? Because Dubai's importance in the trade all over from Africa to Middle East, even into sanctioned countries like Iran, like Pakistan. We are not trading with Pakistan, but Indian products are there everywhere from Karachi to Lahore. Our Dabur products are there. You see where they are coming from. They are coming from Dubai. Trade always takes place. So that is why saying that we have to keep on looking at new markets or ways of doing new, We have yet to explore Panama. No Indian exporter goes through Panama. Panama is the most important source of distribution in the South America. It is better to go through Panama than to keep on looking for, markets in Colombia and Peru and things, because they all come to Panama. Like Dubai, Middle East and Africa, Panama is the center for trading in South America. But we are not there. So these are the gaps we have to fill. Then we can say that our exports will go to $1 trillion. Simply by speaking, it will not go. You have to take efforts. And these are low-hanging fruits. I am not talking about, making Pinaka, ballistic missile or something. These are low-hanging fruits. What is there in frozen food? What is there in dehydrated food? If we can sell dehydrated onion, 30% of the market is Indian. Why can't we sell in other countries? There are so many products which we are selling in other countries where we don't consume in India. But we are making for other countries in agricultural items alone. So India's export to Russia grew by 68%, 70% in the last 2 years. So this is another market. It will become more important because India is looking at shorter routes into reaching the Russian markets, and that may be because of the Iran problem that was given up for the time being. But I think that ultimately in next 2-3 years time, we will find shorter routes to there. India is exploring 2-3 different types of routes, and we will be able to and then in top of that we are going to have a free trade agreement with Russia and its allies countries, which are called Euro-Asian Economic Union, EAEU, Russia and 4 other countries. So I think that our exports to Russia, because those markets which have been almost 1,000 companies have left Russia since the sanctions, most of them may not come back. So India has already taken part of the business of Italian and Spanish tile makers. That we will not leave that market, even if there is because our tiles are 1/3 the cost of Italian tiles. In fact, our exporters should be selling tiles into Italy now. Italian tiles are costing $11 per square meter. Our cost is $5.50. Take another $1 or $2 for freight, still it is $7. There is a gap of $4. All those who are on contract, tender business, airports, etc., they don't pay premium, they pay for the lowest. So there is a big market, but somebody has to do it. Similarly, very big market is there for bananas. We are only selling these days mango and mostly mangoes, pomegranate and grapes. But there is a very big market for banana. Banana is round the year crop. In Russia alone, the market is $600 to $700 million. And Russia has stopped buying from South America because of their political problems. So that is where our Indian exporters have to enter. So this was the first year where we sent 100 tons of bananas to Russia. So now it should continue with pomegranate and other fruits. So many markets are there for different products which are there. We need not always say ki China, China, China. China is no longer the lowest cost producer in the world. China's costs are rising, and in many products, like many chemical products, we are now selling to China what we were importing from China. Our specialty chemical industry is one of the best in the world. But we have to keep on looking for markets. So GCC, our exports have grown, as I said, that now they are realizing that Indian engineering goods are, our transformers, our cables, our substations, they are as good as Italian, and they were paying 2 to 3 times to European companies to build up this infrastructure. But now Indian companies are taking full control of the EPC contracts. So with that, more and more Indian products are entering, Indian cables are entering, Indian transformers, Indian fencing, fencing, boundary walls, etc., boundary, what is called fencing, wires, etc. They are entering these markets, at the back of our EPC contractors. You see. So now they are realizing that what a fool they made, these European companies, the contractors. So there is now that market is growing now. So we have to capture those markets and not allow it to go back again. Then we have to do risk mitigation as exporter. We must vet our importers. So many times we have seen that we just send goods because the order was very bad. In fact, about a month back, I had to stop one exporter not to send, because the behavior of the importer was saying caution, caution, caution. So when we send goods without any backing, there may always be a problem. This happens with many new exporters. They see a big market in this. I have seen in last 10 years in the rice market. Rice market, when the prices go up, for example, in the big markets like Iran, new exporters enter the market. When they enter the market, he will say, I will give you 10% advance. Rest I will pay on FOB. So you collect your rice and you tell him that my rice is ready. I am dispatching it to the port. Where is my money? He said, no, the market has collapsed. Now I can only give you 70%. The market prices have gone down. What will you do? You have already collected the material and you are shipping it to, and that is the time he puts because you do not understand the market. You have not vetted the importer. You have entered because of margins. And this has happened so many times in Sri Lankan market, in Nigerian market, payment defaults. And this happens very much in Dubai, onion. You say that, oh, okay, I will take open delivery. You send the onion, he said, nahi, ye to 20% to isme sab kharab tha. This is a very regular thing. Koi kharab nahi tha, but how will you check? Unless you have your own person there. So damage bahut tha. Barish mein ho gaya, ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya. So I will only pay 80%. The very common. So you have to vet your importer. Don't go by the size of order or by other. And there are very methods of doing it. Exim Bank, yes, our EPCP, ECGC, they all keep records of good importers. So they will tell you, because their money will also be blocked if the payment is there. So ECGC is there, then so many of Indian embassies also, they keep list of blacklisted parties. You are not to deal with them, especially in China. They regularly bring out list of. So our export promotion councils, if you are a member, they will keep you on guiding you with B2B meetings. Nowadays, so many online meetings are going on. So these are always with vetted customers. These are not with customers who are new or about whom we do not know anything. Then trade insurance. We must take trade insurance when we are dealing with parties which are, in any case we should have, because the whole supply chain now is full of disruptions. Then expand relations gradually. Don't go by the size of the order. Slowly. Maybe it may take 1 year. Maybe it may take 2 years to reach a potential. Slowly. Let money come first. Slowly. Only when the money is in your bank, the transaction is complete. Till then time it is not complete. Okay. Then use digital tools like AI for market intelligence. Now AI is more and more being used to give simple thing is to apply for Google alerts. I want Google alert every week on this topic. I want Nigerian economy. They will tell you any news which appears on Nigerian economy, Google alert will send you alerts. Sometimes they send too many. But that is something you have to manage. So all these new technologies are coming which are making it foolproof for exporters, like blockchain. You send such a big bunch of papers to the bank, बैंक कहता है वो फलाना कागज कहाँ गया, वो तो उसमें था ही नहीं. With blockchain, no papers can go missing. Nobody can cheat you that this document was not there, you gave it late, you did not do this or did, because everybody is seeing all the documents. You, the bank, the forwarding agent, the customs and the customer, everybody is looking at the same documents. Nobody can change it. So these are the new things which are coming gradually, and the exporters must be in a position to take advantage. China plus one sourcing. It is not only for multinational, even for us, those who are buying intermediate products, they must find alternate sources also. even if it is more expensive. Even if you say I will buy 80% from China, I must buy 20% from alternate. So that if there is any disruption, you can always change. Cannot now today rely on one importer, you know. And don't neglect the domestic market. Domestic market, export market, they don't move together. This I have seen in the last 10 years, 3 times in the, 3 times in the auto components market. When there is no growth in India, there is good growth abroad. When the export market is flat, Indian market is doing well. So both the markets should be serviced. I have seen some exporters, if they get good Indian orders, they neglect the export market. They don't keep track of the customers. But customers, once he moves to another party, he will not come back to you. You know. So if you have a customer, make sure that you keep a good customer, even if there is a good domestic market. And domestic market you should never, because that is easier to develop than an export market. Then look into service export. Can I add service to my export? You know, if you are into giving parts or oil for transformer, can you go into rehabilitation of old transformers? Whole markets are full of old transformers which are more than 25 years old. They all need, their weldings are gone, they are leaking, they all need rehabilitation. There is no, for example, in Africa, there is nobody there. No African is there trained enough for doing this job. Only Indians can do this job. Even Chinese cannot do this job, because this requires trained manpower. You know, can I, instead of selling lift parts, can I put in touch with somebody on lift? Now, whole of Rajkot is full of lift manufacturers. Now, there is a market for Cone and Hitachi, and there is a market for, you can say, not the branded lifts. Whole of Africa is constructing 3-floor, 4-floor buildings. They are not all going for Hitachi. They will go for local lifts, like we have seen here. So can you do that? Can you train 5-6 people for lift? Because then it will give you a lifetime income of maintenance, you know, maintenance and parts. So can you include service into pump exporter? Can he go into pump rehabilitation, servicing, changing of various rubber parts, etc., seals, etc., you know, which are often required. So see if you can, because this is one market where Chinese cannot enter. And this is how Indian two-wheelers gained the market in Africa. Africa had 125 Chinese motorcycle exporters. But what they did was, they will make the kit, export to Mr. X. He will assemble it and sell in the markets. If it breaks down, there is no spare part available. There is no person to do servicing, and it's African road, all rural roads. And Africa, motorcycles are used as taxis. So their wear and tear is higher. So there was nobody. Indians did differently. They trained hundreds of Africans in and put them in business in servicing of two-wheelers. They put spare parts depot in various places, so that if you have a breakdown, Indian motorcycle will be on the road faster. And if you have a Chinese breakdown, it will never, as long as it is running, it is running. It will never run again. With the result that India has captured most of the Chinese manufacturers, they have left the continent. 3 Indian companies now supply 55% of the. So it is due to their emphasis on sales and service. So that is where our model should be, you know, that is where we can get ahead of China. If we are only selling we cannot compete with the China's capacity. But when you add service to product, then you can compete with China or any other country. Engage with the government. Let government know what are your problems. Become a part of the Export Promotion Council. I get so many when they in my regular workshops. I asked people, are you a member? Half of them are not members of any export promotion. So if you are not a member, you don't have the information which they have. They will not call you for B2B meetings. They will not call you for various meetings when they are sending their proposal or sending their complaints to the government, or they are dumping of this product or that. So you have to be a member. You must have your voice heard into the government. So get there early. Aim is not to have forecast. Aim to have foresight. The difference is forecast means this thing will happen 60% of the time. Rain will happen 60%. Foresight is study of weak signals. What is happening in Africa, West Africa today? What is happening in Somalia? Every day in 3 months, once in 3 months, there is a headline that 30% died in Mogadishu car bomb. That paralyzes us. We don't see any market beyond that. But we don't see Somalia, there is a market for pharmaceutical products. The entire Mogadishu, the capital of Somalia, runs on Indian three-wheelers. There is no public transport. There is no buses, there is no, you can say trains or local metro, nothing is there. Only three-wheelers, Indian three-wheelers. Where they are coming from? Who is supplying them? Who is providing the service? Who is providing the spare parts? So there is a market even in difficult countries. There is a market for pharma products. There is a market for stationery. So many products there is a market in Somalia. So you have to go beyond the headlines to see the market. There also there is a market for building products because new colonies are coming up. Those who live there, they know that you have to live with these problems. If you live outside, you live by the headlines. But if you live inside, headlines are just, it's a one way, another, you can say, another cost of life there. It is not. I mean, in Delhi, in Bombay, 10 people die in train accidents every day. Much fewer people die in car bombs in Mogadishu. You see. So we have to see the markets are there. We have to see beyond the headlines. So get there early. Look for early signs of future forces that will either disrupt you or will be opportunity for you. Both things are there. Any disruption is also an opportunity hidden inside. Don't go by predictions. Go by foresight. That means see signals, make your scenarios. If it goes this way, what I will do. If it goes this way, what I will do. Prediction means 60% time one should not go by predictions. Predictions are mostly wrong. In fact, when I came here, everybody told me, "Arey, Ahmedabad mein bahut barish hai." I found some people, but koi nahi hai. So prediction is different than actually happening. It's a small example, So just to give you an example, that economists carried out a survey of 100,000 forecast on GDP. So they found that only in short term the forecasts are good, 1 to 2 years. The moment you cross 2 years, forecasts don't, because the complexity in the market are so many that you cannot predict. So it's better to study the signals, what are coming out, the 5 signal topics which we discussed, social, economic, technological, environmental, and one more, So foresight is not a prediction, it is a plausible view of what might happen. One of the many things can happen, you know. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. Sun Tzu said, Ukraine, $400 billion reconstruction opportunity is there. War is going to end. It may end with Russia taking land from Ukraine, because both are now tired. These are two wrestlers who are on their last bout. You know, ek is so they don't now have energy to go and take more, because Russia has already lost 1 million people. So they don't have that manpower. They can do missile attacks, and do the more destruction they do, more the cost of reconstruction will rise. So $400 billion, who can take advantage of that? India only. Because we are one of the biggest producers of building construction material, whether it is plastics, whether it is tiles, fittings, structures, whatever you say, you know. Then Gaza is another $25 million opportunity there. Gaza will also end, whether Israel takes full Gaza, in whatever condition, some sort of a reconstruction has to happen, you know. So that is another $25 billion. Then Trump's tariff wall. These are all opportunities. You know, मेरा एक आंख गया मगर दूसरे का दोनों आंख गया. You know, I got 21% tariff rise. Vietnam got 27% tariff rise. So we are better off in our garments export, and that is showing in our results. You know, so these are all opportunities. You know, anti-French movement in West Africa, which we discussed earlier. You see, 3 countries have already formed. They have broken away from this 11 countries, including Nigeria, 2 English-speaking countries, and 9 French-speaking countries. They had a economic bloc called ECOWAS, Economic of West Asia, West Africa, something. Now 3 of these countries, they have broken away because they have thrown out the French. Now more countries will also break away from that. The 3 countries are Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger. They have broken away from there. And other countries are looking at how they manage their economy. You know, so far they are managing. So other countries may also. Now that creates a big opportunity for other countries like China and India to enter into the market, and it will be the exit of French companies, because French companies' products are more expensive, they are lazy, because they have a monopoly market, so they don't work hard, and that is how the cement market was taken by Dangote, because Lafarge did not create any value into the African market. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer. But I hope it was of some value to you. Phone number है मेरा. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer. हाँ, overload कर दिया. You have any points to make? Okay. In that case, we disperse now. If this presentation is available from me, if anybody wants, he can write to me. I will send the presentation so that you can go through it at leisure. You know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Abidi sir. It was really an insightful session. Your guidance for scanning of weak signals and opportunities and everything. So we end our session here. Thank you very much.